Just so everybody in this room and outside knows, please take care of that car.
Hey, I'm Amanda, you're watching Girly Pop Go, and this is the second video of my night with night school with race service and Josef Newgarden. This is the little field trip one that I mentioned in the last video. Was like, I want to hear more about this car. Let's do a little field trip. Let's go over to the car. The Indy car that Josef had with him is the car he will be racing in the Indy 500 this year. And so he was like, oh yeah, please be careful with that. But we all came over and went around the car, and Josef talked through a bunch of different things with the car with us, and it was really cool. And I wanted to have a full dedicated video for that whole bit. Here's that here.
Just so everybody in this room and outside knows, please take care of that car. You have no idea. I didn't realize what this car was.
Yeah, me neither.
Like, you know, you would have thought, like, oh, this is the car you won the Indianapolis 500 in. Kind of. I mean, it is the livery. That is the car that I'm going to drive next year in the Indianapolis 500.
Like,
That is chassis 066. It has been on the racetrack once. I just drove that thing in October at Indianapolis for our off-season test. We were doing a Firestone test as well. It felt good. It felt so good. It's nice when they feel good. So it's been on the racetrack once. It's a brand new race car.
You got here today? No, oh, they sent?
No, my engineer texted me and he was like, I'm in LAX. And I was like, cool, you're going to come to the event? He's like, no, I'm headed to Australia. I was like, okay, well, thanks for telling me you're 20 minutes away. And he was like, hey, by the way, that's chassis number 66 you got. And I was like, I thought it was Scott's pole car. So my teammate Scott McLaughlin, they had his pole car from Indy this year wrapped up as well, because they had this shell car going everywhere and they needed multiple of them. I thought that was the car we had. And then he told me, he was like, no, dude, that is our brand new car for next year. I was like, cool. I was like, we should probably put some stanchions around that or something. Please be careful. It's super cool. That is a real race car. I'm going to actually drive that thing maybe next year.
So I'm so glad you said that, and I think we're like the most respectful people ever at race service. I think it would be so fun to get up and walk around that, and like, again, I don't know the ins and outs of IndyCar, and the more and more I learn, like, it is very technical, and also like very mechanical and tactile. There's a lot you have to do. Like, let's field trip. Where's Rob? Let's do this.
I don't know how this works.
No, me neither. There's no rules here. So everyone, respectfully, don't mess up Josef's car because we want to watch him win.
I'm a little nervous as we're all just going to gather.
We're just going to figure this out together. It's going to be a really good time.
Gosh.
You did enough of explaining where no one.
There's a spotlight on this,
Yeah, there's a whole thing.
It feels like a comedy show, like we're going to do some crowd work, you know?
If you want to,
I like that. I like mine so better, but cool that you got good here, you know? Thanks for coming. So this is a real deal.
Actually, this car,
This is a real thing, man. Real deal. You know what's cool about these that people don't realize? Is at Indy, every little detail counts. Like, I'm not kidding. We started playing. Are we live streaming this? I don't want anybody to know. Like, you start playing with tape. This is like Days of Thunder stuff, okay? You know how they're like rubbing on the car and it's like, this is a special one? We kind of do that with these for Indy. Like, there's certain bits of tape that you'll start putting somewhere that it just might like flip up when it's on track and it might do something. Not just like, there's crazy stuff that people think of. The floor is very important. The tolerances, like, you know, this thing goes through tech and they put all these templates over it, and everything has to be like within 1,000th of an inch, otherwise it's illegal.
Oh, it's like that.
Yeah, so they end up trying to like get this body work just perfect so that they can maximize where they can put it. Because you start moving this stuff, I'm telling you, like you move this like 1,000th of an inch down or out, and it could be like 10 pounds of downforce.
Oh,
it's crazy.
Because in here, this one tripped me up. You have like levers on the inside.
Yeah, so it's a very mechanical car. Like we talked about the Porsche. I'm telling you, the Porsche was kind of it was a tough car to drive. It was so electronic. This thing is very mechanical. It feels natural when you drive it. Like it responds very naturally. You have roll bar adjusters in the car, so you can change the front and rear roll stiffness.
That's what
That's what it is.
And that's you. Like you're just making that call. You're driving and you're like, I need more.
Then we have weight jackers. People don't understand how the weight jackers work, but there's like a cylinder sleeve on this right rear damper, and you can control the dynamic ride height of this right rear, and you can jack the dynamic weight, or really the static weight of the car on the left and the right front. So when you're changing the weight jacker, you're either putting more static weight on the right or on the left side. If you want the car to turn more, you put more left front wing. If you want the car to stabilize and like not turn super well, you put it on the right front. And so those tools combined with the roll bars is what I have to work with at Indy. And I'm telling you, you're like adjusting that stuff all the time. When the wind condition changes and the thing feels like it wants to swap ends on you, you're like all over the tools. Every corner is different. Like there's 4 corners, but they all feel completely different. It's crazy.
As a driver, when you get to this level, do you have to like study engineering, or is that just fully like you're in the seat, you just know what you need and you learn how to adjust it?
I mean, everybody's different. I mean, most understand, you know, if you're at this level competing, you should understand what everything does. There's stories, you'd be shocked. There are stories of drivers that, man, I mean, it just goes back to like, you should really understand what you're doing at this level. There's guys that have been in here and they're like, they don't know how the roll bars work. And you're like, how do you not know how, you know, the general stiffness works on the suspension? Like, there's people that don't know. But
there is a level of like you, the person that was up there explaining like just how dedicated you are to the craft. Like other drivers might not go as far as learning this. Like some of this is you just like giving a shit.
No, definitely. I mean, look, I don't have an engineering degree. Like, I didn't study it from a what would you say, from like a high level or from an institution. But you get sort of a tribal education, because I've been in racing for 15 years and I wanted to learn everything that I could about these cars. Like I'd go to the shop and I'd be like, please explain, you know, this particular gearbox to me. How does this work on this vehicle? And I want to understand, like, why are we routing, you know, the exhaust this way? And like, you know, what, I don't know, it's just like all sorts of stuff. Like why do we build the wings this way? And how do we make sure that the tolerances are all correct? Like I wanted to know all this stuff. Like setting up the car at Indy, oh my gosh, like I'm so thankful for my chief mechanic, because like it's critical to get this right. If I have a bad story at Indy, I think it was 2014, they gave me 0 net toe in the rear going into the race, and I thought I was gonna wreck the entire race. And I ended up coming in and being like, guys, I'm telling you the car's broken. Like I don't know what it is, but the car is broken. Like I am gonna wreck this race car. And the car looked perfect. They're like, what are you talking about? There's 0 issues. The suspension's intact. Everything looks great. We didn't find out until they put it on the pad and they got the rear toe wrong. And it was just, there was 0 toe. It was just completely straight. And if you have 0 toe in the rear of this thing, it is violent. I mean, you have to at least have some. Yeah, it was really, really difficult. So just little stuff like that. I feel like people wouldn't even realize that. You're like, oh, you just don't have a little bit of toe in the thing? Like, you need 120 thou. That's all you need. I mean, that's tiny. You know, if you have that little difference off, this thing feels like a nightmare.
So like the front of it then, like this little knob thing?
Yeah.
Will you do it? Will you show the...
Yeah, I'll touch it. Yeah.
I got it. After that.
So, yeah,
This moves off of that.
Yeah, it does. So this is the front wing adjuster. So that's what's nice. You have the rear wing adjuster too. That one turns up and down. So when I come in for a pit stop, if I need an aerodynamic change, I need more front load versus rear, they can change that. You can also trim the rear. So they'll have, you see how they have a spindle back here? You can basically trim this thing out during the race. And like, sucker doesn't make a lot of downforce, to be quite honest with you, but it does affect things. Like you take a degree or 2 out of this.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, like that little twist that you did there, like just that, when you're driving, like you'll feel that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No one's gonna. I'm not gonna tell the story. It's not in the context, but yeah. I mean, typically, like if I need 1% more front downforce, he's gonna go. Yeah. All right. I need 2 turns in, right? And then he can take it back out and make sure he gets it right. They're gonna rebuild all this, I think. So maybe you guys could mess with it. No, but a percent of downforce, a percent change in your balance is very, very big at Indianapolis. So, you know, sometimes we talk, what do you need? You need a turn in, you need 2 turns in, and that basically 2 turns equates to about 1%. So, you know, if you're asking for 1 turn, it's only like 0.5%. But yeah, it makes a big difference.
That's so cool. Like hearing you explain it makes me like really want to dig in.
You know what else is nuts about this? I mean, just to be honest with you guys, I don't know how we were driving these without these screens. I really don't. Like I did it for 10 years, and I mean, like I show up to the tracks now, and I'm like, what were we doing?
Really?
Like how did how did more people not get killed? Like, I mean, and I don't even say that in a funny way. It's crazy what we were doing. It is absolutely crazy. And I was not a fan of this. When they wanted to bring these aero screens on, I was like, don't do that. That's not an Indy car. I was like against it. And now that we have them, I'm like, thank you so much for putting these on the race car. And it's honestly saved a lot of lives. I don't know if that's just coincidence or not, but there's been some incidents where if we didn't have that, like it could have gone south really, really quickly. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to get morbid here, but
no, it's fascinating. Like, it's so cool to have you explain all these things because I think like I love cars. I have so many little nuances, but you see it, and when you aren't driving them, you're like, yeah, cool, race car. Yeah. So then when you break it down and you explain it, I'm like, oh damn. And it's like, it's going to make me that much more excited to watch you race and be like, he's dialed today.
You start playing with a lot of stuff. Like you see these shutters on the side. Like we're basically trying to run this thing as closed off as possible because the more you can close it off, the less drag the car's going to create.
Yeah.
But you don't want to overheat at the same time. So where you're going to be in traffic, where you're placing the car, it's the same stuff that we all deal with, whether it's NASCAR or Formula One. We're all trying to play that balance between performance and reliability. And at Indy, it's just magnified.
Yeah.
Because Indy's the tightest tolerances. These other tracks you go to, you can kind of get the setup wrong, and you can overdrive it and just kind of make up the deficit. At Indy, if you don't get it perfect, you're going to really struggle. It's so hard to make up just the smallest miss. That's why, we always say Indy is the biggest team aspect of IndyCar because it really is. If you don't get the car perfect, you're probably not going to win the race that day. Everybody's got to nail it. You got to have the best stops. Car's got to be in one piece. It's got to be perfectly built, and you got to drive it really well. And that's why Indy's hard to win.
So when you were talking about winning it and you were having fun with it, did you feel that energy with your team as well? Like, do you think you brought that to them?
I think we bring it to each other. They feel like if we build the right car, we got an opportunity to win the race, and vice versa. I know that when we nail, our job on the pad, and we get this thing perfect, and like Luke and I are in the right place, my engineer, I know we can do it, and that's why you show up. You don't go racing just to. You're not just have fun. It's not. I mean, we're having a good time, but we're there to compete, and we really feel like we believe in each other. We believe in what we can do as a team, and we know we can win the race if we get it right. So it's an exciting environment to be in when you feel like, look, I'm showing up, and today can be a day we get it right.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. We should probably go back there to wrap things up. Thad, did you want to do the cool photo? Are we doing the cool photo?
Yeah.
Or?
Everyone wants to go behind.
This is kind of dope.
Everyone, yeah. So we go behind there. Joseph is there. We're behind there. No one touch the car. Let's not ruin it. But let's all do a big photo with that because that's pretty fun. I go with Raj. I'm gonna get too close to the car. All right. Okay. All right. Here's me. All right. We're here. Joseph is there.
Got the car here.
You guys got the, okay, Joseph can sit on the car. No one wants to sit on the car. Let's do this.
How cool would it be, like, if we win 3 in a row, and we were like, yeah, just
Yeah!
It would be kind of a cool little nugget, right,
People would be really tired.
After this, they did go back to the main stage and we all went back to our seats and Joseph did a little Q&A with everyone and I got my very serious question answered.
Hello, thank you for coming. I actually got to watch you win the Indy 500 this year in person, which was very cool.
Where were you? Where'd you sit?
I was actually right behind Rossi's pit box. So I was like right there. It was
getting dicey with Rossi for 10 laps.
I had a feeling he was going to win. I'm going to be
Man,
honest.
I honestly thought it was going to be me and Rossi to the finish, and then Pato snuck
He
in
sent
there and
it.
turned. Did you see that when Pato?
Yeah.
Was
No,
a little late.
but to see you, but to see you overtake.
He's fired.
Yeah. To see you overtake at turn 3, though, when they literally had just said no one is overtaken at turn 3, this entire 500 was great. But I have a very serious question. You see, my dad and I have challenged each other to a K1 race after Christmas, and I am determined to destroy him. So my question is, do you have any karting tips?
K1, you said, here in LA?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Lots of turns there. No real straightaways.
Oh my gosh. Have you ever taken somebody out in a car?
I am not opposed to it.
Look, it's not ethical, but it's a surefire way to win. Okay? It just, you gotta ask yourself how bad you want to beat Dad, because I think you just take him out. It's also a dominance thing. You'd be like, look, Dad.
Oh,
I'm in control now.
I warned him already. I said, I'm going to make you question who you raised. I'm taking it that seriously.
Well, if you end up taking him out, it's up to you. You can tell him that I gave you permission to do that.
Okay. His name is Dan.
Is it Dan?
Yeah.
Dan's going down. Put Dan in the wall.
There we
Just
go.
do it.
Thank you.
And Joseph also unveiled his new logo for the new year. He said he didn't like that a lot of drivers' logos are just their initials. He wanted to do something cool.
They all look the same. It's just like your initials. I'm like, oh, make something cool. So this is my new logo that I'm going to be pimping next year, and I got 2 hats. This is the hat I normally wear. I wanted to give 2 out, so I was like, whoever asks a question, we're going to select 2 people and we'll give some hats out, so you guys can get some of the first round of my new hats. I think I like the great question, so you get one. So I got a sweet spot for you. Thank you so much. I feel terrible. How do I just select another person?
Yeah,
I'm gonna give this. What was your name again?
Amanda.
Amanda. Amanda's gonna put her dad in the wall.
Okay,
I can get it on my head.
Your side quest.
So I now have one of these hats, and I have to put my dad on the wall. If you want to see more Girly Pop Go content, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. And that's going to be it. Bye.